Welcome back to Biz Money Talks with Tracey Bissett. I am your host, Tracey, and I am a financial coach for entrepreneurs and young adults. And it's really my privilege today to welcome Scott Aaron to the show. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Tracey. Thank you for having me and just grateful for the opportunity to be here.
Oh, you are welcome. And so Scott is an internationally acclaimed and award-winning online marketer, 3 times best-selling author, top podcaster, and speaker. He is the go-to specialist when it comes to converting traffic, establishing connections, and creating income using LinkedIn and building personal brands. So Scott, love if you can share a little bit more about your background and about your business.
Yeah, so I actually got my start in entrepreneurship when I was 18 going on 19 in the fitness industry. So my family had a string of health clubs in Philadelphia, and I became a personal trainer, sports nutritionist, did some corporate wellness speaking. So always found myself in that position of inspiring and motivating others and coaching people to achieve their goals. And in 2013, that kind of transitioned into the online space. I grew a very successful online wellness practice, and I leveraged that primarily through the means of LinkedIn, which was kind of where my coaching practice derived from. I was using LinkedIn, and I was just trying to figure it out. I was just trying to find a way to connect with more people and have more conversations and just move the needle of my business forward. And I struck gold, so to speak, and started helping some friends for free with what was working for me. And one friend said, listen, I'm getting tremendous results. You should be charging people for this. This is a very valuable thing you're teaching. So I ended up getting a patent on my program and ended up copywriting it, trademarking it, licensing it. And since then, turned it into a full-scale company. Myself, my wife, we have 7 team members, and we have group coaching programs, we have virtual programs, we have books, ebooks, a lot of free offerings. And now we're helping business owners, entrepreneurs, service-based entrepreneurs, people just starting out in entrepreneurship, or someone that's even established in their business and what they're looking to achieve, leverage LinkedIn with something we call our 20-minute method, where you create whatever you're looking to, whether it's more leads and more income, and helping people do that with our simple strategies.
Excellent. And I know you're very successful at it, and you do tons of speaking as well. And it's so important as business owners that not only do we develop networks, but we maintain them and do it in a really natural way, and build relationships with people to drive our business results. And without that kind of network, it's pretty hard to grow our sales, grow our cash flow, and when we're charging the right amount, to stay profitable. And I know so many of our viewers, whether they're catching live right now or they're going to be catching the replay, that can be a challenge. Sometimes people don't know where to start. And especially with LinkedIn, sometimes people are not as comfortable on that platform. So glad that you're here today to help us navigate this and really give us some tips to do that. And so to level set about the platform, before we get into best practices, what's LinkedIn all about and what can we do on the platform?
So the traditional way that people use it is for job seeking or recruiting. So when it was established in the early 2000s, it was basically the online social media platform of monster.com. So instead of going to monster.com to find a job, obviously they developed a social media platform called LinkedIn to link recruiters to job seekers and job seekers to recruiters in this online forum to create that kind of opportunity. And that's how it started. But as social media evolves, so did LinkedIn, and it turned into something much more than that. It turned into a place where people are now networking online. A lot of people still love networking in person, and when we have the ability to do so, I love doing that. I love rubbing elbows with people, but I'm also a very time-conscious person. So for me, driving 45 minutes to downtown Philadelphia to spend an hour and a half at a networking event with the same people each week, to turn around and drive 45 minutes back. That's 3 hours of my day that I'm not getting back now. But LinkedIn provides that resource and that tool where you can talk to, a different person every different half hour if you wanted to. But the other thing that LinkedIn is now, it's an educating and information resource for people now. So they're actually going there to be educated and informed. And something that you mentioned earlier is that people just are uncomfortable on it because they're not sure how to use it. Everything is uncomfortable the first time you try to learn something. So there are people that are on Facebook and Instagram, they were uncomfortable with that when they began. And, the only thing you have to do is just practice and, dive more into the platform and its abilities. And there's a lot that can be done on LinkedIn, whether it's content that can be posted, networking events that you can create, private groups that you can invite people to. So a lot of the capabilities that Facebook and Instagram have are also readily available on LinkedIn. You just have to spend the time to learn how to do it.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. I meet lots of great people there regularly, and I get lots of great information. So it is a learning source for me as well. So glad that you really kind of level set for us. And so everybody wants to have a steady network. They want to be able to meet new people. They want to get those potential clients and people to draw from. But sometimes things get in the way. So one thing that you already mentioned that gets in the way is that kind of apprehension or fear of getting on the platform. What else do you see from your experience with those that you work with stops people from really digging into it?
It's probably their limiting beliefs. So it's this story that's being told in their heads that I'm too busy, I don't have the time, I've tried programs like this before, I've tried social media. So that repetitive notion that people continue to say inside their heads actually leads them to not taking action. So non-action leads to no action. So the only reason why people typically aren't achieving what they want to achieve is if they're listening to that self-talk, those limiting beliefs. So I actually just did a training for this for my membership academy. And what I said in the training, which I'll say right now, is actually take note of the limiting beliefs that come up throughout your week. People would be amazed. On average, 5 to 10 different limiting beliefs appear each week for people without even knowing it. I'm very aware of mine, just because I've spent so much time doing personal development and I know exactly how to shut them down. But when those limiting beliefs come up, you write them down and then you turn them into a positive. So when someone says, well, I don't have the time to learn this, right? You can switch that rhetoric by saying, how do I find the time to learn how to use this platform? Or I'm so busy. What can I do to be more productive so I'm less busy and more productive? So it's all about changing those limiting thoughts and beliefs that one has inside of their head. And that's typically the main reason why people don't use the platform. They're scared, they're intimidated. And when you tell yourself those negative things, a negative thought is never going to lead to a positive outcome, so you're not going to do it anyway. And that's probably the biggest reason why.
Excellent. I love that. And I like how you gave us the actual tip to reframe that in our minds so we can move from busy to productive. What could I do to make the time, or how could I take time to learn? So definitely tip number one that we want to take away from Scott. And if we put only that into practice, we're going to have a lot of success.
Yes.
And certainly if we do it with one that we're facing, and as you said, we could be facing upwards of 10 a week. So we want to make sure that we're really conscious of that. Now, you've helped so many clients become very successful. You talked about how in your early days you were just helping friends and how it really led to this business. What success tips or strategies do you have for the business owners who are catching our interview that they can put into practice?
Two things. Number one, be very clear with what your intentions are in using LinkedIn. So think about what your business requires most right now. What is it? Is it more visibility? Is it a growth of the network that you're looking to build? Is it leads? Is it just relationship building and networking with others? So you have to first define what it is that your business needs right now. So having, and again, I'm all about creating a clear vision and path with everything. So you really have to start to think about what is it that you actually want. And a great exercise that my wife and I do with our clients is, where do you want your life and business to be 3 to 5 years from now? And when you start thinking about that question, you start envisioning in your mind what you want your day, your life, and your business to be like. Now you just have to work backwards and say, well, what do I need to do to accomplish those things? So first, you got to be clear on what your intentions are with LinkedIn. Now, once you're clear with your intentions are as far as how you want to utilize LinkedIn for the purpose that you're wanting to use it, number two, you have to be consistent. If you're inconsistent, if you're in one day and out the other, if you use it for 3 days and you take a week off, if you do it one day and then not the next, if you take if you are inconsistent with any activity, you're not going to get the results. That's like eating healthy one day and then eating crap the next 6. You're not going to look the way that you want. You can't build your business for one day and then take 6 days off of building your business and expect it to grow. So the combination of being clear with the intention behind why you want to use LinkedIn, but also the consistency of how you should be using it will create success on the platform.
I love that. And it sounds so simple, yet it's so hard for everyone to do.
I know. I don't know how to make it any easier than that. And it really is that simple. It's just people have to shut down the negative thoughts, get into action, and the results will produce themselves after that.
And I imagine, did you grow up thinking this way about things? Because if you went into first a career in personal training, like these are things you need to be clear about why you're working out, and then you need to be consistent to get results.
Yeah.
Like, were you raised with these kind of paradigms in your upbringing?
I wouldn't say I was raised with these. So I was kind of thrusted into the health and wellness world. So the backstory was my father, all of the men on my dad's side were entrepreneurs. My great-grandfather was a butcher in South Philadelphia. My grandfather was a pharmacist and owned his own pharmacy. My father owned multiple businesses, and now me. And even my uncles too. And my father, when he got out of his last company, he started working for someone else, running multiple businesses under the umbrella that this guy had, and ended up getting caught up in a $9.5 million insurance fraud case, which landed my father in federal prison for 2.5 years. So that was actually my introduction to entrepreneurship, because he basically said, son, here are the keys to the gym. You got to go run it till I get back. So I was kind of dealt that hand. I was going into my sophomore year at university in downtown Philadelphia. So I really had to find that balance of, getting my education, which I did in HR, but also running our company as a teenager to support my mom and my sister and myself. And I did learn a lot by running a company, communicating with the employees. A 19-year-old is stepping in, and now I'm in charge of a general manager, multiple managers, floor managers, instructors, trainers. But the discipline, I would completely agree, came from becoming a personal trainer. I just followed my father's footsteps. He had been working out his entire life. I used to go to the gym with him as a little kid and just watch him work out with his friends. And then I eventually got into it. He did bodybuilding. I did bodybuilding. He did powerlifting. Then I got into it. But what I really learned about personal training, it was something I was doing because it was going to be my income producing machine. It's how I was going to earn a living. But what I didn't understand and didn't know is through repetition and through consistency, you create results. And, there was an old saying is you can't out-train a bad diet. So there's a reason why people run on a treadmill and you're not going anywhere. So with life, you can't run on a treadmill and conceptually get to where you want to be in your business because you're in the same spot when you began. So you have to get off that treadmill and start walking forward. But that's what not only personal training taught me, but sports nutrition taught me, is that you have to be regimented, disciplined, and consistent with what you do. And the analogy that I give people is that you can't walk into the gym one day, get a great workout, and walk out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It just doesn't work out that way.
No.
It's the compounded effect of your actions that create the results that of what you want. So that's what I learned, and I've made that applicable to every single thing I've done in my life. The way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. So I'm a creature of habit at this point. As we were talking offline before we got on here, we're in the same coaching program together. So as soon as Nancy and I learned that strategy and the technique of what worked in our first launch, we've been just rinsing, washing, and repeating the same thing for 8 straight launches. And, obviously success follows after that.
Excellent. Well, I love that. And certainly, again, not simple, but doing those small things every day in a repeated fashion, you get that compound effect, which is amazing.
Yes.
And so certainly we all want to incorporate that in whatever area of our life we want to do it. Now, I'm sure that you see, and I've heard you on your podcast, you've seen people do things that are not really the best on LinkedIn and really can be bothersome, annoying, just downright poor etiquette. What are some of those missteps that you'd love our listeners to avoid?
Yeah, this is definitely a trigger for me because I always make a point of it to not, and I'm very, again, I don't shine the spotlight on someone. I do, delete their name and their image, so it's just the content. So
you're just talking about the action of what they're doing. So
the actions of what people are doing, and this is you hear this in business. You get one opportunity to make a great first impression. So there's a few things that I see people doing wrong. The first thing is selling and pitching in their content. No human being likes being sold or pitched to. Everybody wants to be connected with. So Nancy and I always talk about the smell test. So if you were to see a post that is selling and pitching you, how would you emotionally respond to that? Probably not good, because no one wants to be sold or pitched to. So before you click post to post that post that is selling and pitching your audience of a product, good, or service or way to help them without building that know, like, and trust, because no human being buys anything from anyone that they don't know, like, or trust, reword it. Educate and inform instead. So people need to stop the salesy, pitchy, clickbait type posts on LinkedIn. The second thing is what people are doing now is they're trying to cut out a very important step. And one of the most important steps in utilizing LinkedIn is creating a meaningful connection with someone through your first touch base, which is the first time you're going to message. Now, people are actually cutting that out. And what they're doing is they're sending connection requests and they're attaching a note. So LinkedIn will prompt you and say, if you don't know this person, add a note, introduce yourself so you have a higher probability of them accepting. Now, in theory, sounds like a great idea. But someone came along and said, you know what? Don't introduce yourself. Sell and pitch them right in that note so you can avoid having to even do that first message. Now you're just putting it out there for them to see. So again, if we go back to what I said in the first thing, no one likes being sold or pitched to. So the interesting thing is I get sold and pitched to multiple times a day when people add the notes. And that's an immediate option for me to hit that ignore button, which people are doing a lot more. And this is what I want the listeners to understand. If you have too many people hitting the ignore button with connection requests that you are sending because you are selling and pitching to them when you're adding that note, and you have too many ignores, LinkedIn will temporarily and then permanently block your account from being able to send connection requests moving forward because they consider that a spam account. They want to keep everyone's profile safe. And if you're violating that by selling and pitching to people in your network and they're hitting ignore, not only do they not know this person, but they're selling me, that's a one-way ticket to getting your account permanently or temporarily restricted. Now, the third thing is what I was alluding to, what people are cutting out, which is messaging. This is probably my biggest trigger. Nothing grinds my gears more than connecting with someone on LinkedIn, and upon accepting that connection request, I get this 18-paragraph long drunkalog of someone trying to sell me and pitch me click this link, watch this video, download this, schedule a call here, listen, you have to treat LinkedIn almost like you're dating the person, right? So if you go back to the days of when you were single, you're not looking to invite that person up to your bedroom within the first 5 minutes. I mean, maybe at a certain age you were, but as you grow up, you mature, you actually want to get to know the person that you're sitting down with. So you ask a bunch of questions, and then you know what? If it's a great conversation, there's going to be a second date. And then on that second date, you get to know each other even more, and then eventually you're going steady. Which, if you equate that into the sales cycle, you have that first call, it goes well, you have a follow-up, great follow-up, the person says, yes, I want to work with you. Now you've closed a sale. So when you do message someone on LinkedIn, to raise the probability and the chances of you not only having that person respond to your message, but get them on your calendar for a call, which could lead to more profit into your business. And Tracey has heard this. I have a 3-tier messaging protocol called the magic formula. So if you're going to message someone, you got to do 3 things. Number 1, in a relaxed way, you just state their name. Hey, Tracey, it's great to be connected to you. Not, dear Tracey, comma, space, indent, next paragraph, because that's actually mimicking some of the automation that some people have onto their accounts, which, for people that didn't know this, you are violating the LinkedIn user agreement if you have someone logging into your account, acting as you, doing your searching and connecting and messaging, but also if you're attaching software to your LinkedIn profile that connects and messages for you. That violates the user agreement. If you get caught, they don't even temporarily restrict your account. They permanently delete your account off the platform. They're not wasting any time with people anymore because so many people have complained about all of these things that I'm talking to you guys right now, is that they're taking immediate action to clean up the platform. So step 1, hey Tracey, great to be connected to you. Step 2, I call it lowering the drawbridge, which you're filling in the gap between you and that person of why you're messaging and connecting in the first place. So if I was messaging Tracey based on the fact that she has a show on LinkedIn, a podcast, she's a coach, so am I, I'm going to use that as my anchor to connect with her. So, hey Tracey, it's great to be connected to you. I noticed that you were a podcaster and coach, as am I. Would love to hop on a call or a Zoom to learn more about each other and how we can support one another here on LinkedIn. Now, I've done 2 things. Number 1, I've lowered the drawbridge. So Tracey is reading this message, and she's now completely understanding why I reached out, and it makes sense for her because everybody wants to connect with someone just like them, right? Relatability is relatability. You want to lower the wall of resistance, and you want to raise the level of connection. But the other thing I did is I used one of the most important words in the English language, and that word is support. So it's been psychologically proven and physiologically proven that when someone actually reads the word support and says it in their head, it triggers their brain to release a chemical called oxytocin. So oxytocin is one of the feel-good brain chemicals, just like dopamine or serotonin or endorphins. So this person is feeling good as they're reading this message. And the third and final part is something I call a CTA, or a call to action. Questions lead to answers. Statements lead to nowhere. You have to ASK to GET. You have to ask in order to get. So if I was just to say, Tracey, let me know when's good for you, she's never going to let me know because I haven't asked her when is good for her. So I simply reframe that and say, do you have any time this week or next week for a call or a Zoom? So you state the person's name, reason for reaching out, and that call to action. So making sure that you don't sell or pitch in your content. You provide value-added, rich content that educates and informs. You don't have to add a note. Just send the connection. Don't sell or pitch them in that note. And if you're going to send a message, make sure you follow that 3-tiered magic formula. State their name, reason for reaching out, call to action, and you'll start to succeed on LinkedIn.
Love that, because you shared the missteps, but then also how to do it in a proper way, which will help you be successful. And Scott did my job. He gave that really awesome recap. So he's handling everything here. Now, I'd love for the listeners to understand what the results are when people work with you. So when you're working with your clients and you teach them what you know and what you've determined works effectively to build those relationships, what kind of results are they seeing?
So we've had people 3x their business, 9x their business. We had one guy, he made an extra 1.5 million over an 18-month period into his business, just using LinkedIn. So tremendous results. I mean, we're basically just teaching people what we've done to grow our company the way that we have. And the big thing is this: I had to earn the right to teach what I do. Mm-hmm. So I am not some person that just created a course and is just trying to make money off of people. I practice what I preach. Everything that I talk about on any podcast I go on, any talk that I do, any client that I work with and I'm teaching them what to do, that is what I do every single day. And I think there's a big difference between someone like me who is applying not only what they teach, but also what they're learning as they go, which then I bring that to my clients as well. The number one reason why most entrepreneurs or business owners aren't achieving what they want to achieve is that they're missing one of the most important arms of their business, and that is their lead generation arm. If you don't have a specific social media platform or strategy to generate leads, you're not going to have business. And I always talk about the sales cycle of revenue. And I'm going to make this very simple for people. Everyone thinks that it's difficult to create revenue and income into a business. It's not. It's 4 steps. Step 1, generate leads. Step 2, turn those leads into qualified calls. Step 3, turn those qualified calls into conversions into your business. Step 4, you got revenue. But it all starts with leads. If you have no leads, you have no business. You know, Eric Worre, who wrote a great book called Go Pro, states the scariest place for any entrepreneur to be is when they're looking at their appointment book and there's nothing written down. So you need to be in a place and space where you have an overabundance of people to connect with. And I think that's the most important thing that people need to focus on. The only way for you to achieve more in business and get the results that all of our clients are getting is to not only apply our strategies, but to be consistent with those strategies. So there's a great book called Go for No. Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton wrote it. Andrea's become a good friend of mine. It says, yes is the destination, but no is how you're going to get there. And it's the truth. It couldn't be more truthful than that. Everyone is so attached to the word yes, but you're going to hear no 100 times more. So if you fall in love with no, you know there's a yes right around the corner. So I take the farmer approach, not the hunter approach. The hunter approach is trying to sell and pitch all the time. I'm a farmer. I plant seeds, so I always have a harvest that I'm going to reap at some time in my business journey. So for the people that you're not happy with where your business is, I always talk about be a salmon in a world of fish. Think about what other people in your industry are doing. Go the other way. Try something different. What's the harm? If it doesn't work, you try something else. Then you try something else. Because if something isn't working right now, you have to think about what it is that's not working and try to fix that problem. Because doing nothing changes nothing. But when you change something, something will change.
Excellent. And I've heard you talk about that book before, and I picked it up. It's a great read. It's an easy read. You can read it in one sitting. But yep. Again, very simple concepts, but the point is very clear and just crystallizes it for you. So before I let you go today, now that we've heard your insights, your success tips, missteps, what results your clients are seeing, are there any final pieces of advice you'd love to leave the listeners with? And it may be something you've already mentioned that you want to reiterate, or it might be something brand new.
So it's the concept that your failures open the doors to your successes. I think the more willing someone is to fail, the more willing they're going to be to succeed. So people look at the success that our company is having right now and all the growth that we've had over the last 4 years, and they think it's been an easy road. It hasn't. You see the glory, but you don't know the story. There have been so many things that we've tried and we've failed, but you know what? Those failures are the building blocks of how to succeed in what you're looking to do. So instead of focusing on the success that you want to have, focus on those failures that you're going to incur as you build this business, so you can then take those lessons and then turn them into profits, because that's what it's all about. So cutting out all the noise and the BS out there, fail forward. Fail faster, fail often. That's what it's all about. And Nancy and I are always open to failing as quickly as possible so we can succeed as quickly as possible as well.
Excellent. And so not worrying about how it looks, what everybody else is thinking, learning from what's happening, and then implementing change right away so you can continue to go forward. Excellent.
Yeah, the thoughts and opinions of others don't make any difference in who you are. If you allow the thoughts and opinions of others to become who you are, that's your choice. I could care less what other people think. We're on a clear path. We know where we're going. People can come with us. They can't. It's all up to them, but we know where we're going.
Excellent. And so what are you working on now? And where can listeners go to find out more about you and your services for those who've enjoyed the interview?
Yeah, so all the things that we're doing are listed on my website, www.scottaaron.net. For those that are listening to this, at any point during September, October, we are doing a content creation workshop at the end of October in about 6 or 7 weeks. And if you go to www.thebyobagency.com, you can find all the information there about our upcoming workshops. We love educating, love informing, loving making things easier for people. That's what we try to do, is solve problems for people's big problems in their business. And you can find me on all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Just type in Scott Aaron, I'll pop up, and would love to connect with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate you joining us today. You've been a wealth of knowledge, and it's really about becoming someone on LinkedIn that people can know, like, and trust, and just interacting with people as a human. So appreciate all of those tips. And you've been very generous by going really deep in terms of exactly how can we do the things to be successful, and turn those things we might not be doing so well into really positive action. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Tracy, again for having me, and just grateful again for the opportunity, and I hope the listeners enjoyed it.
You are welcome. And so for those who are watching, I'm a financial coach. We have our Financial Foundation to Entrepreneurial Peace training coming up starting on September 20th. We're going to walk through the difference between profit and cash flow, which is absolutely critical. We're going to talk about how to navigate stakeholder money conversations, how to price profitably, and so much more. So we'd love to have you join us there, and get registered at bizpeace.com. Until next time, take good care and stay financially fit.